In the big words, building words, making meaning, breaking words, building meanings, making meanings program, we have a reading strategy and a spelling strategy. You will see that as you will progress into the program and as the students work with you with the program, we are building the knowledge and the skills students need in order to read words and in order to spell words. So I say this because we don't introduce immediately the entire strategy to students and we say, here is the strategy, this is how you use it. On the contrary, we are building the knowledge and the skills students need in order to complete the task of reading a larger word and gradually learning the components of the strategy. So in the end, they are flexible in the use of the strategy. As you know, strategies are meant to be used in order to support the completion of a challenging task. They are supporting the cognitive process to complete something difficult. And what is difficult in this process is the reading of multisyllabic words. And what makes it difficult, it is not just the reading of the words and the word parts, it is the making meaning of those parts and the understanding that these larger words, they contain prefixes, suffixes that they carry meaning, but also they derive from other words. So meaning-wise, students need to be active in the process of making meaning through the deciphering of these words. It is not only breaking the words to decode. It is thinking of the word's meaning and thinking of the word origin when you are thinking of the spelling of it. And that's where stress and that's where etymology will come into place too. So what do we say to students and how do you teach students when they are working with a big word strategy to read words? We say to them that when you see a word and it's a larger word, it's a bigger word, look for the parts you know because you may have a compound word. So you may have a word like this. In this case, I don't need to look for the vowels in order to break the syllables. I see the part star, fish. So the word is starfish. I didn't have to sound out any part of the syllable because I could read the word starfish. So if I see parts that I recognize, I could read the word if it's a compound word. Now, if it is not a compound word, but it is a word that contains parts that I recognize, I can follow the same strategy. Now, if you see that the word has a prefix or it has a suffix, box it. And in this case, think of the meaning that this prefix or suffix has. In the case of a suffix, think, is it a derivational suffix? Is it a suffix that now comes from another word? In other words, if I see the ION at the end, I know it's a noun and I can think that the word it came from is a verb. So I'm actively thinking now, not only about the part that I see at the end, but I think of the meaning of the word and the origin of the word. So I may have a simple word as this. Now, if I'm reading this, again, and I will use my flexible application of reading, I may recognize the part trust, and I will say trust, and then I'll say distrust, not to trust. Now, if I don't know the word trust, I see that I have dis. In this case, I will box it, and then I will underline the U, and I will say distrust, distrust, not to trust. Not because I know that this has the meaning of not. Now, if there are no prefixes, if I have no suffixes, then I don't know how to read that word. And it's a completely unknown word. That is when I will use my syllabification strategy. And that's when I will look to break the word into syllables. And we have at the very beginning, remember, a syllable needs a vowel. And you will see that we will repeat this information again and again into our lessons. And I understand that you may think it's very repetitive. However, our work with students has shown that they do not understand initially that a syllable needs a vowel. And when we gave them single syllable words, they broke in between each one of the letters of those words. because they may hear you say a syllable needs a vowel. However, they have not really applied it or they have not internalized it. And it is important for students not to hear the knowledge, but to internalize it. And you know that when they have internalized it, they can apply it. And they can apply it without us next to them. They can apply it independently. So, how will I use the strategy now when I see a word that I do not know? First, we say locate the vowels. Find the vowels, underline the vowels. When you have a vowel team, you will underline the vowel team. When you have a VCE pattern syllable, we underline the vowel that says the name, and then I place a dot on the silent E. And when we see the consonant L, we underline the consonant L. So let me practice this with some of the words. So I said if when you have a vowel team, you underline the vowel team. So I will have this word. I see in this word, I have the A. Immediately my eye goes there, but I see that I have the I. So this is a vowel team. So I will underline the vowel team. So the word is train. And what is the syllable type in this case? It's a vowel team. Now, when I see that I have the VCE syllable, like in the word, I will underline the vowel, but then I will put a dot on top of the E. We did that to say to the students, it's quiet. It doesn't say anything. So the vowel will say its name. So we tap it, it's quiet, and then the vowel will say its name. So the word here is cape. And then when you have the consonant E, you will underline it. So if I have the word I will underline this vowel and I will underline the consonant L. And now I will break immediately after my vowel because consonant L goes together. So I will say cable, open syllable, and remember it's unaccented. I will not say cable, but I will say cable. So the stress will be on the first syllable. So cable. Okay, so let's see this into the context now of words. So I may have this word. Let's try to apply this. What will I do first? I will underline my vowels. And I see that I have the E at the end. I will put a dot on top because that will not say anything. So let me try now to break the word. I see that I have three consonants here, right? So I will break immediately after my consonant. So I will try to read now. I have one syllable, two syllables. I have a closed syllable and a silent and VCE pattern syllable. Or you call it silent E, we try to call it VCE pattern because that's the pattern. So what is it? Concrete, concrete. So the word is concrete. I didn't say concrete, I said concrete because the E at the end did not say anything. Now, second, we break after the vowel if there is one consonant after it. If there are two, we break after the first consonant. So let me explain how this will work. I may have this word. I will underline the vowels because remember, we did this only when I can't figure out the word. So I'm very strategic now because I'm trying to utilize my strategy of syllabification. So I have this word. I will underline the vowels and I know that I need to break. I have one consonant, so I'm going to break after my vowel. So the word is robot. Open, close, robot, robot. Now, if I have two consonants, I need to break after the first consonant, unless it is a digraph, because digraphs are never broken apart. So TH, SH, CH, PH, WH will never be broken apart. They're always stay together in order for me to identify the syllable. So, and I need to remember also that PH, when I see it, it's of Greek origin. blends most of the time will stay together, but they can be broken apart. And double consonants will always be broken apart. So if I have the same letter twice, we call it a double consonant that I will break apart. So I have, for example, this word. I see that I have two consonants. I will underline, of course. I see the consonant li. I will break in between. And the word now is bottle, bottle. I have the same underline my two syllables. I know I have two syllables because I have two that I have underlined. I will break it in between because they are the same. The word is little. Now, I said to you that we don't break the digraphs. So if I have this word, I will underline my vowels. I see that I have a digraph, the PH, so I will break before. And the word is aphid, aphid. So open syllable, closed syllable, aphid, aphid. Something that we need to remember though is if I need to be flexible. So how will I be flexible? If I have this word, I will underline. However, I will try to read it and I will say Robin, Robin, Robin. It's not Robin. I don't say Robin. I don't say Red Robin. I say Red Robin. So it is after the consonant. So it's Red Robin, Robin, and I have a close syllable. In other words, it is important for students to be flexible, and it's very important for them to understand the importance of flexibility. So it is great that they will know how to use the strategy of syllabification. However, it is important for them to look for morphological parts and also to be flexible, first, on the boundaries of the syllables, and second, to be flexible on the pronunciation of the vowels as well. I say this because when I showed you the word little, I didn't say little, I said lil. And that is because it's, first of all, it's stress, and also it's a schwa. So it is changing the pronunciation. So it's important for students to be flexible and to understand that it is okay to be flexible. It is not a mistake that they make. So it is important at the end to reread and check for meaning. And most importantly, they need to always be flexible. Students always need to be flexible.